the DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, May 16, 2023. Happy Tuesday, already halfway through the month of May. 2 weeks left to be exact. Busy week. NBA round 3 kicks off tonight. Lakers at the Nuggets. Seen the Nuggets now as high as minus 160 in the series. I can grab the Lakers right now, right around plus 140. Tomorrow night at the Garden, Heat versus Celtics, part 3. Jimmy Butler in the house. Celtics opened up minus 600. Seen it now as low as minus 525. You can grab the Heat probably around plus 400 and change. As a Celtic fan, the only opportunity you probably have in this series is minus 1.5 or minus 2.5 games there. The Wembayamba sweepstakes tonight. Like the Bedard hockey sweepstakes, where we had an inkling that the Blackhawks would get Wembayamba. As much as I'd like to say Ime and Houston Rockets get it, I just got this gut feeling. Pops has been hanging around, and his gift for hanging around will be Wembayamba, PGA major number 2. But today's all about good friend and colleague, Mr. Julian Edlow from DraftKings.
Morning, Jeff. How we doing?
Good morning, Jules. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Hanging in there.
Backstage, we talk survive in advance, and most Celtic fans assumed we'd be in this position. But if you took it from game 1 of the start of the playoffs to where we are today, I think we both would think a couple added extra games that we didn't need to play to get to this spot.
Yeah, they've played too many games. Atlanta should have been over in 5, and they blew that game 5 at home. And Philly, you could argue, that was 2 James Harden missed threes away from a sweep. He made both the threes, the big ones in game 1 and game 4, to make it 2-2. If he misses one and makes the other, then maybe you should have gotten it done in 5, but you get blown out at home in game 5. So backs against the wall per usual. They figure out a way to get it done. But yes, in theory, they are playing too many games. And, in the grand scheme of things, you hope that doesn't add up and become too much. Now, on the plus side, this is a young team. It's a deep team. So it shouldn't become an issue. I don't think playing 2 extra games, call it, especially with the space that you have between these series. You played Sunday, now you play Wednesday. If you go to the NBA Finals, you could have 3, 4, 5 days off, depending on how things go. Like, this shouldn't add up for a team like the Celtics, but it doesn't help. It's more of an opportunity for somebody to roll an ankle, sprain a knee, whatever. But as much as the Celtics, what have they played? They've played 6 or 7. They played 13 games. Let's say they should have played 11. It shouldn't matter to this team. It would matter more to LeBron, something like that. But they should be fine.
All year, you and I talk on Tuesdays, and I've been kind of not the naysayer, but I bring out some of the stuff that I hear locally or from our friends at 98.5, colleagues, social media, whatever. And I've kind of been playing the devil's advocate, Julian. what is going on in the NBA? The coaches taking the sword here, whether it's the Milwaukee Bucks coach, whether it's Monty Williams in Phoenix, whether it's Nick Nurse in Toronto. The Celtics again survive in advance. We're moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. We're 4 games away from getting back to the finals, back to back. Huge, huge favorites. I'm going to play that devil's naysayer for 1 second here for you before we dig into the meat and potatoes. Philly wins game 7. All right. And I'm looking at what would be said about this team this year. It would have been obviously a big fail. We would have brought up Missoula. We would have brought up the fact again, is Brown happy? Ken Tatum and Brown played together. Rumblings, Pritchard, and a few others unhappy with their roles. Brogdon, should he be playing more over Smart? In the words now, Coach Smart. Am I overstepping? Am I just blowing smoke? Or is there some validity to some of the points that I brought up?
There's validity. The question is how much it matters. Coaching doesn't matter that much in the NBA, and they've won some in spite of Missoula, and they've won some because it just doesn't wind up mattering. Like when they win, I think they've covered every win in the postseason, if I'm not mistaken. They generally win with decent margin. Like the players just make the plays, they show up, they win the game. So I don't think their losses might have a little bit of coaching to do with it. And then maybe, you get a Harden miss and you do win one of those games without covering and win a tighter game. So it matters, but again, like I've said, Missoula's been under fire for much of this. It's not on the coach. This is players first, and then the coach. Comes down to the players first, and what they're willing to do. And they showed at the end of the Philly series they're willing to do whatever it takes to win, which is a good sign for their chances moving forward. So, kind of 2 answers. Validity, yes. Does it matter? No.
Breaking down this series, huge edge coach in Miami and Spoelstra. I love the coach. I don't think he gets actually enough credit. I really don't. I mean, they talk about Pat Riley upstairs and Spoelstra, but an amazing 1-2 punch that they have. And of course, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, whatever you want to call him, Jimmy Playoffs, an amazing run and stretch that these guys have had. Just the shell of last year's team with Hero out and a few other guys that are nicked up or injured, hence the minus 600 opening series price. Outside looking in, Jules, I would guess that you think 5, most likely 6. Is that where your head is right now?
So I think it's interesting how they'll do in this series, because I've seen two very different arguments. And one of the arguments is coming from very well-respected sharp bettors that say, I'm betting the Celtics to sweep. I'm betting the Celtics in 5. I think the Celtics at minus 475 was a great price. I took some of that. 600, what goes up to minus 600, that's more fair. I've seen people very high on how the Celtics should do, what the result of this series should be for the Celtics. On the flip side, as somebody that watches and follows the team very closely, you can kind of throw out what Miami was during the regular season in some sense. I think that bet is off of what Miami was in the regular season and those numbers. Like the Celtics in theory should handle the Heat pretty quickly. But this is the 3rd time in 4 years these two teams have played in the Eastern Conference Finals. Spoelstra knows what he's going up against. He just did it last year, and it went to a game 7 in Miami. Now, the Heat were the 1 seed. They were a much better team throughout the season, but not much has changed for them. They didn't play as well this year, but if they can bottle up what they were last year for a series against the Celtics, then it could be a very long series. Now, Why can they bottle that up? Because they've been doing it in the postseason. They beat the Bucks in 5, and they took care of the Knicks. The Knicks was a little more evenly matched, obviously, but watching them take care of the Bucks in 5 games against a coach that got fired because he hasn't been a very good coach is somewhat similar to the Celtics. So if they can beat the Bucks in 5, they can beat the Celtics. They've had success against both Milwaukee and Boston in the past, and they've been one of those higher seeds like Boston and Milwaukee have been. So if the Celtics play with their food like they did at times against the 76ers, it's going to be a series. And, we have that fresh in our minds, what they just did in Game 7. But remember that they had to go to that Game 7 to get that out of them. So I think they're going to win the series. I would be more surprised if it was in 4 or 5 than if it was in 6 or 7, because this is the type of team that lets things go deeper and needs their backs against the wall like they did in Philly. They came out strong and they finished strong, but they were kind of dead in the middle there. And then, come out and have a decent game on Sunday before blowing doors in the third quarter. Like, there's something about them that needs to really feel the pressure to get the best out of them. So, again, we've said it a million times. We'll see if they learn their lesson and they come out, take Miami seriously and sweep or have a position to win in 5. Or if they're the same old Celtics and let this drag on a little bit.
I have to ask you the question I did on Backstage just to give you a few seconds on Ja Morant. Obviously, over the weekend, everyone has seen the video on Instagram with the gun. The stories that I hear, he was very remorseful, went into Adam Silver's office the first time, took his 8 games, took it like I am going to take care of this, yada, yada, yada. And 2 months later, this flashes. I think if it was me and Adam Silver, I would, have all these classes mandated and say, come see me January 1st, 2024, and then we'll go from there. Hearing a lot of different things. It's time to hear about a half year, they're going to say. Some have said a full year. What's your initial thoughts, Julian, on the incident?
Initial thoughts on the incident, dumb by Ja Morant. I don't have a ton to say about it. Not good. If I'm an NBA team and I'm paying him that much money, I'm questioning his decision making. Is probably the simplest way to put it. I'm doubting his decision making if I'm going to make him the face of my franchise and pay him what he's already in line to get paid on this extension that kicks in next season. And then for the suspension, I take an Adrian Wojnarowski report who, like, he's still the guy on things like this. I know we had the draft thing last year where, him and Shams were essentially lied to. It's going to be Jabari Smith and it becomes Banchero. But, like, those are things where there's incentive to potentially lie. These things are, I think, guys like Woj are getting the correct information. And when I look at Woj's report and hear what he had to say on ESPN about how stern this will be if everything is confirmed, the video is confirmed that it's not altered, which I assume it's not, that it'll be a steep punishment. So my initial reaction was a full season suspension, which is pretty harsh. I don't think he did anything. He didn't do anything necessarily illegal. But again, like, when I was on the media side of things, reporter covering the Celtics, I was like, part of the reason these guys make what they make is to sit down when you're angry after a game and calmly speak to the media. Whether you like it or not, you are a role model for kids. That's part of the pay. That's part of the price tag, particularly with these max and super max contracts. That's part of the pay. So maybe it's a half season. My gut reaction was that it would be a full, and we'll see. But yeah, it's not great for the Grizzlies, who now have all these moving parts after being this fun, upcoming young team.
And he was within a whisker the NBA was trying to move to, with LeBron going up 19, 20 years, obviously waiting for Bronny, hopefully, to come in. But they were trying, Ja was looking like he was going to be the next face of the NBA, and that's where the NBA was leaning towards. And obviously, yeah, that's not going to happen. Let's go out west. Lakers, Nuggets. Nuggets opened minus 150 in the series. Initial money came in on the Lakers. It dropped to 145. Now there's been a buyback on the Nuggets. I've seen it as high as 160 in the series. Lakers plus 140. Tonight, they open up game one. Initial thoughts on tonight's game and how you feel who will be representing the West when this is all said and done.
The Lakers are a really tough team to handicap right now because it's kind of a new roster. We haven't seen that much of them, and they're playing so well right now. So is this who they are when they're fully healthy with this roster? Like if they rolled this roster and this rotation out on opening night and LeBron and Anthony Davis stayed healthy all season, would they be this team that is playing like a one seed in the Western Conference, or are they just really hot right now? And I don't have the answer. If it was some other team that was just really hot right now, I would write them off and be more confident in Denver. But they have LeBron, who knows how to win, and that makes it more difficult to just say, "Oh, they're hot." They don't like this team can win for sure. And it's crazy, by the way. Like I meant to go back and add up how many wins play-in teams have. I probably will later today, just overall wins since the play-in round started. Now we have 2 play-in teams in the conference finals against the chalk. The 1 seed Denver, the 2 seed Celtics, who have been heavy favorites to win all year. So like we have 2 chalk pieces going up against play-in round teams. So here's what I do think. I like Denver early in the series to have some success. The biggest reason why being this team's 37-4 at home when Jokic plays. They don't lose at home with Jokic. Now, I think this is not that, every game of a conference finals is a huge game. I think game 1 in this series is huge because the Lakers' formula to win these series as the lower seed has been the same in both rounds. They stole game 1 in Memphis. They stole game 1 in Golden State. And then the rest of the pattern for the series was the same. Home team won every game, and that gave the Lakers a chance to close out in home at game 6. They would call that their game 7, and they were closing those series at home in game 6. So to do that formula again, they're going to have to win game 1 in Denver to give themselves a closeout game 6. Now, obviously, they have 2 and 5 that they could win there, but just going by the way that they've done things. This is going to be the hardest game 1 for them to win by far, I think, though. So the way that I'm going to play it, I think, is on DraftKings. Last I looked, it's plus 110 to get Denver to win game 1 and the series double result. So I'm going to play that, and then I'm going to figure it out because I'm not sold that Denver's the right side. But let's say they do win both home games. Then what's Lakers game 3 and series double result going to be going into game 3? It's going to be steep. So I'm going to take Denver game 1 and series double result for like a couple units early. Obviously going to need them tonight in this game. But if they come through, then I'll probably be hoping for 2-0 Denver going back and play it how I want to play it, whether it's just win a little bit on each side or play it to get a free roll on Denver for the rest of the series. Or if the Lakers show me something that says, well, LeBron knows how to come from behind in the series, play it to make a little more on the Lakers. Like, I need to see something to figure out exactly what I want to do the rest of the way out. But I do like Denver early, so that's how I'm going to play it. I find it hard to have too much conviction in these Lakers series, other than against Memphis. I bet the Lakers pretty big against Memphis, but I find it hard to have conviction in these Lakers series because we've seen so little of what this team is. And Davis could just go out there and get pounded by Jokic. We don't know.
I love the breakdown because as I've been looking at this series, we had Lakers over the Warriors, and we took them before the opening tip of the first game because there was a little part of me that thought that the Lakers could steal game one, and they did. Then they became the favorites the rest of the way. They won the series by stealing game one, in my eyes. Looking at this Lakers Denver series, as you just broke it down so well, I don't see the Lakers stealing game one, and I don't know if they can steal game two. So, how is this Lakers team going to be? Because all the pressure will be back on them on must win game 3 and 4s. And we know a series doesn't start till someone wins on the other's home court. Right now, I'm looking at the Nuggets -6 with a 223. So, I like your thought process there. Denver today, Denver plus money to win the series. And then let's see how the first 2 games play out. Again, Denver has only lost 4 games all year with Jokic at home. Not an easy place to play. But as you said, this Lakers team is not the same Lakers team that started. And with LeBron, and I think a healthy AD, the equalizer against Joker, I got this inkling that we could be going back to the 80s, Julian, with the Boston LA series, which the NBA would absolutely go goo-goo on.
Obviously, LeBron and the Lakers are going to be the bigger draw, assuming that the Celtics come through as massive favorites. So, hey, I'll gladly lose a couple bucks on this is different. I'm not rooting for losing bets, but I'll gladly lose a couple bucks on a Denver series ticket. For whatever my season tickets are going to be selling for a Celtics Lakers final. I'll make it all back plus more there.
I was talking to my buddy who's a season ticket holder, and I was like, don't you dare go to any of the Heat game. He goes, well, I might. I say, don't you dare. I'm like, maybe you get 3 home games, this series, and then, you're going to make your money back for game 1, 2. And I know you want to be there. I get that. The beat LA chance. I get all that, but that's why you have the tickets. But I would have memories of CBS 9:00. You'd wait on a Friday night for Dick Stockton. And those were the days, Julian.
I wasn't around for all of those.
Well, you were there for the other one, right? When we beat LA. Actually, I'm sorry. Didn't beat LA, correct?
What, the Pearson Garnett?
No, Pearson Garnett beat L. Yes.
Well, yeah, the 08 team that won, and then the 2010 team that lost in Game 7 in LA. Another Doc Rivers 3-2 series lead that was squandered away.
Shout out to Andrew McGinnis. Good morning, sir. Hope all is well in your world. We will be catching up with you tomorrow at 3:00. So go Hurricanes or Panthers, wherever you are there. So best of luck this morning and this afternoon, sir. Jules, so you got NBA out of the question. Not much going on in Patriots land. Have you dug in any more on potential NFL futures, or are we still too early on that?
Starting to get there. I haven't done anything win total wise, but I'm starting to see some that I am liking. I'll wait a little longer to discuss them. I'm starting to like some division winners a lot. And I haven't bet many yet because I'm concerned because I like a lot of favorites, which obviously in a field of 4, you're betting favorites. It's like, and some of them are, some of them are odds on favorites. You're laying a little bit of juice, but I think some of them are underpriced, and it's a good discussion. It's probably a longer discussion, but maybe we can talk about it some. So one that I have bet, and I know it's come down from like 150, 140 range, but the Saints plus 115 in the NFC South. They get Carr. They have a pretty well-rounded roster. I think the Falcons are a decent team, but I would be pretty surprised with Ritter if they won that division. Panthers, growing pains with Bryce Young. It'd be hard to see. I like what they have, but it would hard to see them winning the division. And the Bucs, I feel like, are just going to stink at this point. If you go under 500 with Brady, what are you going to be now? So Saints plus 115 is one that I actually have bet. I feel pretty good about the Saints in the NFC South. But let me run some of these other ones by you. See, this is where I'm getting concerned, and I haven't bet any of these yet, but like Jacksonville minus 150 in the AFC South. Colts are rebuilding with Anthony Richardson starting at quarterback. He's a project. They can't win with Rivers, Matt Ryan. Who else did they roll out? Like, they've been bringing in guys and they can't win. I don't know how Anthony Richardson is going to turn it around. Texans, we can completely write off. They're not ready to win. Titans, they have Tannehill and Derrick Henry, but like, when is that going to go downhill? It doesn't feel like the Titans are that good. And Jacksonville seems like a team that just broke through a little and should improve this year. So Jacksonville's minus 150. The Chiefs.
And let me just interject on that conference, because we have had this discussion the last couple of years in regards to, I think, last year it was Indy, I think we thought was the team that was going to dethrone the Titans.
It didn't work.
Correct. And we've been trying to dethrone the Titans. And as you said, Jacksonville broke through, and they have all the pieces. They add Calvin Ridley. They have the best coach in that division. They have the best quarterback in that division. Everything adds up there. Who's going to be the surprise in that division? It happens to us every year, it seems.
Well, I mean, a surprise is a surprise, but I don't think it's going to be Houston. So it means it would have to be Indy or Tennessee. I guess Tennessee, because they're still kind of veteran and Vrabel's done a decent job. I don't think that you can just start winning with Anthony Richardson right now on a team that wasn't winning with veteran quarterbacks. So I don't know. You got Kansas City is minus 150. The Chargers are the threat. The Chargers are the threat there, but when do they threaten? The Broncos are going to be better, but are they going to be good enough? The Raiders, no. It just feels like Kansas City should win 12, 13, 14 games again. They're sitting there at minus 150. That feels like a cheap price on the Chiefs. Same thing. 49ers are minus 150 in the NFC West. Cardinals have the lowest win total, tied with the Texans for the lowest win total at 4.5. They have no defense. They have no quarterback. They're out. The Rams, do they have the pieces to bounce back and be a shell of what they were, that Super Bowl winning team? I don't know. Their win total is 6.5. So it comes down to, can the Seahawks break through? I would tend to think this is maybe a step back year for comeback player of the year, Geno Smith. That tends to level off a little. It's not just going to be a magic carpet ride forever. So then you have the well-rounded 49ers, best defense in the division. They run the ball well, sitting there at minus 150. So like minus 150 Niners, minus 150 Chiefs, minus 150 Jags are all sitting there. And I'm like, am I an idiot for laying 50 cents a juice in May on division winners? Like, maybe, but those three really jump out to me.
No, and I agree. And then just hearing those numbers, I mean, let's talk out loud here for a second. When in holy hell are you ever going to get Patrick Mahomes only minus 150 to win the division? That sticks out like a sore thumb. Out west, I agree. The Arizona is just going to be putrid. Seattle.
Team totals against the Cardinals are going to be a play. I don't know how high you bet them, but like I got to look at their schedule early and probably be betting them early because they're going to give up serious points.
I agree. And out west, what are the 49ers going to do with Trey? Is Brock going to be ready? Can Geno stay? I mean, an amazing year that they had last year, and they had a great draft too. Seattle had an amazing draft. The Rams sitting in the weeds where, again, we want to bury them, and they had a horrendous year last year. They get a healthy Cooper Kupp. They got McVay. They got Stafford. They're a dangerous team, I think, out there. So it's interesting. The West in the AFC, God, and you got Coach Payton. You're supposed to. Let me ask you this question: the bounce back year that Gino had last year, comeback player of the year, he should have got MVP, all the accolades he deserved. Can you see Russell Wilson pulling something like that this year?
Yeah, because the coaching will be better. Yes. If you told me I had to bet the Broncos win total sitting at 8.5, I would probably bet it over. And they get the benefit from being so bad. They get a little bit easier of a schedule, better coach, bounce back year for the quarterback with something to prove. Like, I would bet them over 8.5 wins, but unless Mahomes gets hurt, they're not going to be on the Chiefs level by any means.
Hearing anything, seeing anything? I mean, just listening to the locals. What's your temperature on the Pats right now? It's obviously a sit and wait. Let's see what's going on. The Mac thing has died down. May 16th, what's your feel for the locals?
I think they're going to stink next year. I think they're going to be a bad team. I would bet them under 7.5 wins if you were making me bet it. And I may even get around to it because there's a path for them to start 0-4, 1-3. Like, their schedule early is not easy. So I may bet against them early, and on DraftKings Sportsbook, those win totals are available every week. So I may bet against them early and come back later in the year with an over 5.5 or whatever it is in week 5 or 6, and see if there's a little middle chance there. But I think that they're going to struggle. The offense should look a little better, but they haven't done much overall to impact next year.
Couple seconds left, Jules. I know you're busy here. NBA round 3, the finals, the East and West finals, NHL East and West finals, the Wembayamba Stakes tonight, the Preakness, the PGAs, a lot of stuff, a lot of action. I'll ask you before we leave first, who gets the number 1 ping pong ball in the NBA according to Julian?
I'm not going to come on here and start guessing ping pong balls. What I can say is that there will be an uproar if it's Dallas because of how they got into the lottery by tanking out of a playoff spot. But it would make the Kyrie Irving trade all of a sudden one of the most genius trades of all time if it gives you a Doncic-Wembanyama combo. I don't know. That's my lottery take, is that there'll be madness if Dallas wins it. But if you're going with the rigged, like if you're trying to give it to somebody, it's Chicago or Dallas out of the teams that's in it.
I agree.
Those are big long shots.
Anything in the sportsbook promos for the listeners for us to dive into, whether it's tonight or later on this week?
Promo wise, come on. So I actually don't even mind this one. I don't give out many of the boosts, but Jokic 25 points, LeBron 20 points, plus 125 tonight. That seems decent to me. The usual no sweat same game parlays, bet it, get a bonus bet back if you lose. So slap one together as kind of a free roll. Yeah, and then 33% boost on same game parlays as well. So whether you want to no sweat or boost it, you can same game parlay those conference finals games.
And we don't start the vacation till June. Is that correct?
After the NBA draft. So I'm around for another 5 weeks or so.
All right. So the one and only Julian Edlow. Jules, as always, thank you so much. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And Wednesday, Friday, is it?
Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, they're like finally on the every other day schedule, even with travel. Yep. Wednesday, Friday in Boston, Sunday, Tuesday, Miami, and then it would be back to Boston on Thursday.
All right. Well, hey, thank you as always. And if you're in the studio or talking to Scal or any of the boys, give us a little shout out, will you?
I'll see what I can do.
Take care, Jules. The one and only Julian Edlow at Julian Edlow at DraftKings at DK Sports. Shout out to Russell. Shout out to Connor, as always, for hanging around, listening to us. Busy day. Supposedly on the docket at 1:30, Pops DiBiase live from LA. We're going to talk Lakers. We're going to talk LeBron. We're going to talk Dodgers. We're going to talk a lot of things. Around 6 o'clock, Riley will be here for the closing bell. I'm going to try to hop on with him. It's been a while since I jumped on a closing bell. At 7 o'clock, tentatively, myself and Scott Webb talking some MLB. Tomorrow, Andrew McGinnis at 3 o'clock. A lot of stuff coming. Of course, Brady Cannon at 6 o'clock. Last week, if you watched at 6 o'clock, Brady gave out Jason Day at 19-1 to win last week, and he did. This is the PGA, the second major. ECSI VIPs will put something together for everyone here for the major. But, hey, we thank you. Enjoy the morning. Enjoy brunch, lunch, whatever it is, wherever you are. And I'll be back in just over 2 hours. We will see you soon.